Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Aradhyo Bhagwan Brajeshu Tanayas Tatham Vrindavanam Ramya Kachidupasna Brajuvadu Vargena Taya Kalpita Shrimat Bhagavata Purana Amalam Prema Pumar Tho Mahan Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhur Mataidam Nayatra Agraha Paraha Nayatra Agraha Paraham Narayanam Namaskrutam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jaya Udhiraye Shrinvanta Swakatha Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtanam Hridiyantasta Bhadrani Vidunoti Surut Katam Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki Om Janmadiyasya Yatonvayad Itarataschartheshva Bhigyaswarat Tene Brahma Hridayadi Kavaye Mohiyanti Atsuraya Tejovari Mridam Yatha Vinimayo Yatra Trisargo Amrusha Dhamna Svena Sada Nirasta Kuhakam Satyam Param Dhimahi Satyam Param Dhimahi Satyam Param Dhimahi Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchitananda Vigraha Anadiradir Govinda Sarvakarana Karanam Chintamani Prakara Sadmasu Kalpa Vruksha Lakshat Vruteshu Surbhir Palayantam Lakshmi Sahasrashata Sambrama Sevyamanam Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Shri Akantaha Kantaha Parama Purushaha Kalpataravo Dhruma Bhumi Chinta Maniganamai Toyam Amrutam Tatha Ganam Natyam Gamana Picha Vamshi Priya Sakhi Chidananda Jyotihi Paramapitada Swadhyamapicha Sayatra Shirabdi Surabhibhyascha Sumahan Nimesharthakyo va Vrajatihi na yatrapi samayaha Bhaje Shweta Deepam Golokamitiyam Vidantaste Santaha Shiti Virala Charaha Katipaye. Hare Krishna. Shri Nandan Nandan Yashoda Nandan Devki Nandan Vasudeva Krishna ki jai ho. On this very auspicious occasion of Janmashtami 2020, let us offer our obeisances, our Dandvat Pranams unto all those Vaishnavas, all those Rasik Vaishnavas, all those associates of the Supreme Lord who are an ocean of mercy, and they can fulfill the desires of everyone. They are the friends and the uplifters of the fallen souls. Unto those Vaishnavas, I offer my humble obeisances. My humble obeisances to all the listeners, to all the assembled Vaishnavas, and my humble obeisances to Nandanandan, Yashoda Nandan, to Srimati Radha Rani, to the gopis of Raj, to the gopas of Raj, to Raj Bhumi, Hare Krishna. So, this is our second session in celebration of the Janmashtami 2020 amongst the Bhaktivedanta Bhagvata Group devotees. So I wish you all a very, very blissful and a very, very happy Janmashtami. May Acharyas like Srila Prabhupada, Sri Vallabhacharya Pad, and all those great Acharyas bless us so that we can attain pure bhakti. Srimad Bhagavatam says, Tavai pumsam paro dharmo yato bhakti radhokshaje ahaituki apratiyata jena atma suprasidati. We have so many different kinds of dharmas or duties, but the pure acharyas and the pure kripa of Krishna in the form of Srimad Bhagavatam says that of all the duties of mankind, the topmost duty of parodharmo is yato bhakti adhokshaje, is pure devotional service unto Krishna, who is known as adhokshaja. Aksha means our senses or our sense perception, and adhokshaja, who is beyond our sense perception. Queen Kunti says, Namasya Purusham Adhyam Ishware Prakrite Param Alaksham Sarva Bhutanam Antar Bahir Avastitam. I offer my humble obeisances, Kunti, the Bua or the auntie of Lord Krishna, in the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, in the 8th chapter, in the prayers known as the Kunti Stava. She says, let me offer my humble obeisances to you, Namasye Purusham Adhyam, the original Supreme Personality of Godhead. Ishvara Prakrite Param, one who is beyond this material energy, one who is beyond the three modes of material nature, of Tamogun, Rajogun and Satogun, the mode of ignorance, the mode of passion, and the mode of goodness. Prakriti Ishvara Param. What kind of an Ishwar he is? As I mentioned last time, Ishwar means one who can control. And we all have that capacity, mini capacity, very small. We are mini controllers. But we are under the control of Maya. But he, Nandanandan, Krishna, or any of these avatars are Prakriti Param. They are not controlled by the material energy. Alaksham Sarva Bhutanam Antar Bahir Avastitam. He is not visible to everyone, although he is situated within the heart, inside and outside. But Lord Brahma says, Premanjana Churita Bhakti Vilochanena Santa Sadaiva Hridayeshu Vilokayanti. With the ointment of love, the devotees can see Krishna. So I beg for the mercy of our acharyas so that whatever emanates from my mouth today on this auspicious occasion of Sri Janmashtami is pleasing to the Vaishnava acharyas, is pleasing to Sri Krishna, is pleasing to the Gokul Vasis, is pleasing to the Vraj Vasis, and above all, it is pleasing to Radharani. Hare Krishna. So last time we had actually, in the last session on Sunday, 2 days ago, we had laid the foundation or the stage of the appearance of Lord Krishna. Very briefly, to remind everyone and to recap, Bhumi, who appears in the form of a cow, is extremely unhappy and she is very sad, and she approaches, due to the atrocities of demoniac forces like Kansa, Jarasandha, and so many other alliances of Kansa. The world of Prithvi was burdened, and due to that burden, to eradicate that burden, she approached Lord Brahma, and Lord Brahma, incapable of eradicating that burden, along with Lord Shiva and many other Devi Devtas, demigods, they go to the ocean of milk known as the Sir Sagar, and they pray to the plenary portion of Krishna known as Sirodaksai Vishnu, also most commonly known as Paramatma. This Sirodaksai Vishnu is eulogized by choice verses, especially the Purusha Sukta. And after Shirodaksai Vishnu is pleased, he, through sound vibration only, tells Lord Brahma, Brahma, all the demigods, all the Devi Devtas should prepare for the appearance of the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna. And they should all take birth in Vraj. They should all take birth in Vraj. Do not worry. I shall appear in my original form as Vrajendra Nandan, as Nanda Nandan. And we had also mentioned the Lord Sri Krishna in his original form from Golok Vrindavan. He does not appear in every Dwapar Yuga. And so does Chaitanya Mahaprabhu does not appear in every Kali Yuga. It is said that every 10,000 Dwapar and every 10,000 Kali Yuga, right after that 10,000 Dwapar, Mahaprabhu appears. And being pleased by hearing the assurances of Shirodaksai Vishnu, the demigods return to their respective heavenly abodes and they prepare to take birth in the Yadu dynasty, in Mathura, in Vrindavan, in the Bhumi of Vraj. Once they have already appeared, different wonderful kings like Sursen, his son Vasudev, they were the rulers of Mathura, King Sursen. But also, the demoniac personality Kansa, along with his father-in-law Jarasandha, had made different alliances with different demoniac kings, and they were committing atrocities towards sadhus. In the meantime, it came so that the daughter of Devak Raja, King Deva, known as Devki, was given in hand to Vasudev, the son of Sursen. And an elaborate, wonderful wedding ceremony took place of the royal order. And Kansa, who was the cousin of Devki, personally offered to serve Vasudeva and Devki by taking them home after the wedding ceremony on his own chariot, and him taking the reins of the horses and becoming the chariot driver, becoming the Sarthi, which is the Vedic tradition that the brother usually accompanies the sister, whether it is on a chariot or in a simple form. Even back a few years ago, when they used to carry the palanquins, the palaki, the brother used to accompany the sister to the husband's home after the wedding. While he was doing so, there was an akashvani, or a sound from the firmament. And that sound said, "Oh foolish Kans, you are actually so foolish that you are driving the carrier of your death. Devki's 8th son will be your killer." Upon hearing that message, Kans immediately forgot that it was a wedding occasion, forgot that Devki was a younger sister, forgot all those good qualities that had temporarily manifested in him, and he caught hold of Devki's hair and pulled out his sword to sever Devki's head. Vasudeva, being a wonderful devotee, very patient, very learned, very philosophical, he immediately begs Kansa, "Kans, this is not the right time, not the place, and not the right person. You are such a big emperor. Does it give you the proper shobha? Is it befitting of such a great king like you to kill a woman, especially your sister, especially on her wedding day? What do you think all these people surrounding us will think? It will give you shame. It will shorten your life. You will accumulate a lot of sins further." And there ensues a wonderful philosophical conversation between Vasudeva and Kansa, where Vasudeva is giving good instruction, logic, and his immediate goal was to somehow or the other save his wife's life. He promises, after all those wonderful discussions, one can read that in the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, in the first couple chapters, he promises Kansa that, look, the Akashvani, or the predicament from the firmament, was Devki's 8th child. I promise you, Kansa, I will personally bring any born children of myself and Devki to you. Kans, understanding that Vasudeva was true to his word, he let Devki go. Then, while he was in his palace, he was extremely worried. he was thinking and meditating constantly on that predicament. Soon thereafter, Devaki and Vasudeva gave birth to the first child. And Vasudeva, true to his word, with a very heavy heart, Devaki parted with the child, and Vasudeva took the baby boy to Kansa's palace. And Kansa again displayed a very, very nice human-like quality and said, "Oh, you are true to your word, Vasudeva. You brought your firstborn. That's okay. I am in danger of the eighth child. You take him back." Delighted, but at the same time very cautious, because Kansa was demoniac. He could change his mind anytime. Vasudeva went back with the firstborn. And after that incident, Naradji appeared. Naradji appeared in Kansa's palace, and Kans, he put certain things in his head, like, what did you just do? You just let go your, perhaps the possible killer? This is Naradji. You know everything. It was the eighth child, not the first one. Naradji said, you know, who are your enemies, Kansa? The demigods, the Devi Devatas. They could be lying. Remember that. Never trust your enemy. And Kans pondered upon those words of Naradji. Naradji further said that, look, and when one of the versions that I've heard, there was a circle drawn, something circular, and Naradji drew 8 dots, and then he turned it, and he says, now you tell me, Kans, which one is number 1 and which one is number 8. And that further perplexed Kansa so much that brought anger and fear, a combination of both. And immediately he sent his soldiers and imprisoned Devaki and Vasudeva and killed the firstborn mercilessly right in front of their eyes in the jail cell. We also discussed that why would such a great personality like Naradji incite a demon like Kansa? And our Rasikacharyas explain that any action that is done by a pure Vaishnava is always ultimately for the ultimate benefit of all concerned. Naradji is that personality who has welcomed perhaps one of the rarest amongst the creation, amongst all the devotees, who is welcomed by the demoniac persons and the saintly persons. Dhira dhira janapriya karo, nirmat saro pujito. Dhir means devotees or saintly persons, and adhir means non-devotees or miscreants, rascals, demons, rakshasas. Dhira dhira janapriya. He is a favorite of both. Why? Because he has got one wonderful quality amongst so many Vaishnava qualities. He is nirmatsara. That is why he is pujito, non-envious. It appears that what is there in envy? What's the big deal? Why is it considered the most? Anybody who is bereft of envy, matsarya, irsha, can actually be a true benefactor of all, can really be a well-wisher of all. Even if we have a little bit of envy left in us in the size of a mustard seed, we cannot be well-wishers of all concerned. When Naradji, even in many other occasions, used to give Kuveratma Jal Baddha Murtava Yadvat Tayamo Chitau Bhaktir Bhajav Kritavcha Tatha Prema Bhaktim Swakamya Prayacha. When Naradji even curses the sons of Kuver, Nala Kuver and Mani Griva Kuver, sons, that curse to become trees, it's very abominable from the heavenly planets to stand on earth for thousands of years in the form of a tree. But there was so much benefit. The benefit that Naradji gave, you both will be born as the trees, as the Yamal Arjuna trees in the courtyard of Nanda Maharaj. And you will be fortunate enough to see the pastimes of little Krishna. And not only that, when little Krishna will play in the yard, he will personally deliver you. He will give you mukti. And the kind of mukti that they got is they did not get reinstated in heaven, in the Swargiya Lok. They got their liberation in Golok Vrindavan as Snigdha Kantha and Madhukantha Gopas. So one should never ever disrespect a personality like Naradji. Naradji is the guru of Vyasadeva. Naradji is the guru of Prahlad Maharaj. Naradji is the guru of Valmiki. Naradji is the guru of Dhruv Maharaj. Very few people know about his glories. Otherwise, most of the people, they either laugh at him or they make condescending remarks which are very, very offensive and full of pride. So Naradji escalates the coming of Krishna. Naradji escalates the killing of the 6 children mercilessly by Kansa to increase his quota of sins so that Krishna will appear very soon. And those 6 boys that were previously in their past lives, they were demoniac persons which represented the 6 avarices, Kam, Krodh, Mad, Matsarya, etc. So somehow or the other, even though we are devotees, practicing devotees, all of us, we have all these qualities in us. Some in big quantities, some in small quantities. And the Guru comes and cleanses us of all these anarthas, of these misgivings. So, after the 6th child was killed, the Adi Guru, Param Guru, Lord Balram himself, appears and he cleanses the Garbha or the womb of Devki. So, these were the reasons why Naradji incited Kansa. Just like when Krishna appears or any of his avatars appear, there are multifarious reasons in one Leela. Just by one pastime of the Supreme Lord, multifarious different objectives are established. So the 6 children, after they were killed, Yogamaya was ordered by Sri Krishna. Now, who is Yogamaya? We have to try to understand that in the material world, there is Mahamaya, who is the Chaya of Yogamaya. Chaya means the shadow. The real object exists, or the real objects exist in the spiritual world. In the Bhagavad Gita, in the Upanishads, in the Vedas, many places there are references where they have described this material world as a reflection of the spiritual world. Where there is Kaya, there is Chaya. Where there is a real object, then there is a shadow. If there is no real object, then there can never exist a shadow. So in the spiritual world, in the Vaikunthas, different planets of Vaikunthas, Ayodhya Vaikuntha, Mathura Vaikuntha, Dwarka Vaikuntha, and Golok, there is also Maya. But what is that Maya? She is Yoga Maya. What does yoga mean? Yoga means to connect. To connect to who? To Krishna. Nowadays, the word yoga is used very cheaply, and most people are getting cheated, even by the biggest of the biggest. In India, we have this great yoga guru who's got this multi-million-dollar factory of selling different things, which is good to keep the body healthy, but it's got nothing to do to connect with Krishna. With everybody, they use the word yoga, even down the street, if you go, whether it's Chicago or Toronto or New York, they have got these yoga studios. If there is no connection, then it is not called yoga. Look up the word in a Sanskrit English dictionary. What does the word yoga mean? Yoga means to connect. To connect into who? To our bodily needs, to the different friends and family and relatives in this material world, or to the objects of material world? No. Yoga is transcendental, it is divya, and it is to connect to the transcendence. All those bodily exercises that Patanjali, the great sage, taught, they were meant for self-realization, ultimately to go home back to Godhead, to the lotus feet of Krishna, to attain that salvation, to attain that liberation. Yes, it is true that Kundalini Yoga is there, but nowadays it is almost impossible to find somebody, and if there is someone, those saintly personalities are sitting somewhere in the forest or still in the Himalayas practicing that. They do not distribute that cheaply for $50 a month. Prabhupada used to condemn such activities in the name of yoga. He said they were simply sitting and sleeping. Or it's an exercise, vyayam. So you might as well go to the LA Fitness or some big health club, pay your monthly dues, and keep yourself fit with all different exercises. But if it is, the moment we use the word yoga means see Krishna. Vasudeva Para. Srimad Bhagavatam says this. I'm not saying this. It is not my opinion. Vasudeva Para Yoga. Vasudeva Para Kriyaha. Vasudeva Param Tapaha. Vasudeva Param Jnanam. Vasudeva Param Tapaha. Vasudeva Paro Dharmo. Vasudeva Paragatihi. Vasudeva Para Yoga. The ultimate goal of yoga is Vasudeva, is Krishna. Vasudeva param makaha. If somebody is doing home or fire sacrifices, yajna, then the ultimate goal is to please Vasudeva, Krishna. Vasudeva param jnanam. If one is studying different subject matters, even if they may be material subject matters like Isaac Newton and Albert Einstein, they came to the conclusion, they read the Bhagavad Gita, and Albert Einstein made a very nice statement. He says that we have only hardly collected any particles on this vast ocean, the shore of the seashore. That is called Sankhya Yoga, the analytical study of material elements. And then the ultimate in Sankhya Yoga is when you study, after we study all the material elements, including the subtle elements of mind, intelligence, you come to the understanding on the platform of the soul, that there is a soul, there is Atma, and then there is Paramatma. That is the ultimate of Sankhya Yoga, which Kapil Dev taught. Vasudeva para yoga, Vasudeva para kriya, Vasudeva para maka, Vasudeva param jnanam, Vasudeva vartaram param tapaha. Whatever austerities we do, that is to please Vasudeva. Today is Janmashtami. It is Madhav Tithi. Madhav Tithi bhakti janani jatane palana kori. We should fast on Janmashtami. If we cannot eat anything, or drink any water, that is best. But if we have to, drink water. If we have to, due to health reasons, or if we have, then take at least, bare minimum is Ekadashi Prasad, Agyaras Prasad. No beans and grains. Vasudeva param tapaha. Vasudeva paro dharmo. All our duties that we perform, whether it is putting our children to school, or paying their fees, or taking care of the bills at home, or working hard, if we do it with the right consciousness, it is pure bhakti. That Krishna, this is your family. This child is not mine. This jiva is yours. It's your ansha. It is not some Mr. John Doe's ansha. Mamayamsha jiva loka jiva bhuta sanatana. So somehow or the other you have given me that responsibility to take care of that ansha of yours, that jiva who was born in my family, or those jivas born in my family, or those jivas under my protection who are dependent. I will earn for them. I will maintain a nice house and nice clothes and everything for them because they are yours, Krishna. Just this consciousness. That is why Prabhupada perfectly coined these two words, Krishna Bhavna, Krishna consciousness. Then the earning, or then going to work or doing all other apparent mundane activities, they take the dimension of bhakti. Vasudeva paro dharmo. Highest dharma is pleasing Vasudeva. Tavai pumsam paro dharmo yato bhakti radokshaja. We just mentioned this verse earlier. Topmost dharma is pleasing you through devotional service. O Krishna. Vasudeva paragati. The topmost and ultimate destination is Krishna. These fundamentals we should understand. Until and unless we do not have information of a certain person or a place, we cannot be instilled with those desires to meet that person or love that person. A relationship is based on information initially. Like Rukmini simply heard the glories of Krishna and she fell in love. And she wrote a letter, told the Brahmin, take this letter and tell Krishna that my brother and my father want me to get married to Shishupal, that demon but my heart is given to you, O Krishna. Please save me. Come, kidnap me. Do my apaharan. Simply by hearing about Krishna, she fell in love. So similarly, when we hear about Tattva, philosophy, when we hear about Leela, both are very important. Just by hearing Leela is not sufficient, because then it can take a dimension of a fairy tale or mythology. That's what these historians, that's what they taught us in schools. I still remember in my history book, Ramayana and Mahabharata were called mythology. Myth is a Latin word for something that is imaginary. We are learning things from the improper persons, from the improper sources. They are comparing Ramayana, Mahabharata, and all these wonderful pastimes of the Supreme Lord to some Roman mythology, where they show Apollo as the god who is so old with a very long beard. Michelangelo in the museum, if you go to Italy, it's the most famous museum that people go to see, that statue of God. And he's all wrinkled, shriveled with a very long beard. What kind of God is that? That is imagination. That is mythology. Our Shastras say, Advaitam Achyutam Anadim Anantarupam Adyam Purana Purusham. He's the oldest. Adyam Purana. But immediately, now Yovanamcha, he's full of youth. Vedesha Durlabam Adurlabam Atma Bhakto Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. He's full of youth. Navanira the Nindita Kandi Dharam Rasusagar and Nagara Bhupavaram Shubhavanki Macharu Shikhanda Sikim Bhaja Krishna Nidhim Vrajaraja Satam Kandarpa Koti Kamaniya Vishesha Shobham Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. He's not some old shriveled up man with a long white beard. Janmadiyasya, Vedanta Sutra, first 2 words. Janmadiyasya, first 2 words of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Everything emanates from Sri Krishna Nandan, who is the most youthful, 15 years and 9 months exactly to be precise, Kishore Krishna, who is the Govinda Adi Purusha, eternally present in Golok Vrindavan, from whom everything emanates. All the expansions, including his Samshas as Balram and Radharani. Is eternally present in Golok. Time comes to a standstill. So for those in the Madhurya Ras, I explained last time, there are 5 different rasas or mellows. What are those? Shantras, like yogis. Just by darshan of Paramatma, they are happy. There is no seva. Dasya Ras, where the devotee considers the Supreme Lord as the master and he himself as a servant. And the pinnacle example that I can immediately think of Dasya Ras is Hanumanji Maharaj. Even Tulsidas says in the Hanuman Chalisa, Sada Raho Raghupati ke Dasa. He doesn't say Sada Raho Raghupati ke Sakha, or Sada Raho Raghupati ke Pita, ya Sada Raho Raghupati ke Bhrata. Because that is his bhav, Dasya bhav, the topmost in Dasya bhav, Hanumanji. And Vaikuntha is predominantly Dasya bhav. Actually, there are 2.5 rasas in Vaikuntha. That's a subject for another day. But as I was saying, then the Vatsalya Ras, the Sakhya Ras, or the friendship with the Lord. Vatsalya Ras, the child and the parent relationship. And Madhurya Ras, the lover and the beloved. So this lover and beloved, the lover is Shri Akantaha Kantaha Parama Purushaha. He is the effulgent husband or the lover. Kanta means lover. the Param Purush, Govinda Krishna of the gopis of Vraja in Madhurya Ras. He is exactly 15 years and 9 months old. And to be more precise, 15 years, 9 months and 27 days. This is given. We read Shastra. Our Gaudiya Acharyas have given so many wonderful secrets. The Lord Balram appears as the 7th child, the Adi Guru, from whom all the Guru Tattva emanates. If somebody thinks that I am Guru, then that person is a cheater. That person is not only cheating himself, he's cheating everybody else. A pure Sadguru will never think that he is Guru. He is always thinking that I am the servant of my Guru. Srila Prabhupada always had that attitude. Srila Prabhupada would sometimes cry. Literally, tears would flow from his eyes. When his disciples would come and tell Prabhupada, Prabhupada, today we distributed so many copies of the Bhagavad Gita. And Prabhupada would say, I'm encouraged to now translate more and more books, Vedic books. And then some of his disciples would translate them into their local languages like French or Spanish or so many different languages all over the world. And then when Prabhupada would get those news, he would cry. He says, what can I do? I'm such an old man. But my Guru Maharaj has sent you young boys and girls to assist me. That is the true Lakshana of a Guru. Not that Guru, he simply becomes a Guru and starts collecting money on Guru Purnima day and takes the pranams and the respects of others, and if he doesn't pass it on to his Gurudev, then he's certainly a cheater. I explained that to one of our satsangas. Some of you are present. The Avaroha and the Aroha Pantha. Aroha means from low to high, just in Sangeet. Sa re ga ma pa dha ni sa. That is Aroha, from low note to high note. But Avaroha is sa ni dha pa ma ga re sa. From the high note to low note. So respect to all true Vaishnavas, if it is given, it is immediately in the Aroha Pantha. It immediately goes up all the way to the lotus feet of Radha Krishna, to the 4 lotus feet of Lord Balram. And Lord Balram doesn't keep it, he offers it to Radha Krishna. And that's why Kripa flows from the Avaroha, from up to down, from high to low. Very important. We have to understand these principles, recognize the pure principles of bhakti. Lord Balram is the Adi Guru. If the real Guru knows that he is getting that power from Lord Balram, that is flowing from his Guru, from his Guru, from his Guru in Parampara, in a very transparent medium. So Lord Balram comes in Devaki's womb and cleanses prior to that the 6 different little bit of whatever anarthas may have been left, because he knows that the Supreme Personality of God, Sri Krishna, is going to appear in his womb, in her womb. That is why it is so important to cleanse our heart. Yes, Paramatma is there in everybody's heart. That is his job. That is his kindness. He is Surut Sarva Bhutanam. He mentions that in the Bhagavad Gita. Bhuktaram Sarva Yagya Tapasyam Sarva Loka Maheshwaram Surut Sarva Bhutanam Gyatva Mam Shantirichyati. So even if we are in the 8,400,000 species of life, 84 lakh yoni, somehow or the other, because of his kindness, he is always going to accompany us. Whether we are in an ant's body, or a dog's body, or a cat's body, or a rat's body, or a Devi Devta's body, or a human body, he always goes with us as Paramatma. But Narottam Das Thakur, in one of his compositions, he says, Tomara Hriday Sada Govinda Vishram. Govinda Kohena Mama Vaishnava Pran. What a beautiful these two lines in this composition. Tomar means he's addressing the pure Vaishnava Acharya. Tomar Hriday Sada Govinda Vishram. In your heart, Govinda as Paramatma, as the Supreme Lord, is at lot of comfort and ease. And Govinda Kohena Mama Vaishnava Pran. And Govind says that Vaishnavas are my prana, they are my life air, they are my life and soul. Narsi Mehta has written one very nice bhajan, some of who are all Gujaratis know. Pranatha ki mane Vaishnava wala. The Vaishnavas are even more dear to me than my own life. So, what's the big deal? He is in everybody's heart, but here specifically he is used. Tumara Hridaya, in your heart. Govinda Sada Vishram. He is at ease, he's very happy. Although he may be in our hearts, is he happy? That's the question. Are we acting in such a way? Are we performing bhakti? No. Then how can he be happy? He's doing it because it is his duty, just like a dutiful father and a mother. Who they take care of even of their worst behaving child. He may not be happy with the child's behavior. If he's stealing, lying, not doing his homework, but still they will give him the food, still they will clothe him, still they will give him his necessities. But that does not mean that they're happy. Somebody can say, oh, they are doing it for both the children. The other one is so good, but the difference, they are doing it for both children as a duty, but the other one, they are at ease, they are at comfort. So similarly, Paramatma or Supreme Lord Govinda should be very, very comfortable and very, our hearts have to be cleansed. That's why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says in his Sistastakam, Cheto Darpana Marjanam. We have to cleanse our heart of all anarthas by chanting the holy names. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. That is the process what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu, Krishna and Balram themselves, they propagated as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu. The importance of chanting the holy names and cleansing our hearts so that it becomes the seat of pure bhakti, it becomes the seat like Golok Vrindavan is that seat, the Bhaja Shweta Deepam. It becomes Shwet. Shwet means pure, white, whitish or pure. So Lord Balram appears and Yogamaya, as I was explaining, is in the spiritual worlds. Her job is to enhance the leelas of the Supreme Lord or his avatars. Yogamaya is that one personality, if I can put it in very simple words to understand who Yogamaya is. She is, obviously they are all expansions of Krishna, undoubtedly, because Janmadi Yasya, everything emanates from Krishna. But she is that component of service where she has been given a blank check. Like sometimes, a very wealthy person says, you know what, write the amount you want. Here's a blank check, I'm signing it for you. So Krishna signs the blank check for Yogamaya. Use it as you please. You have to use it even on me. Don't forget, I won't get upset. I'm giving you full permission. So Yogamaya puts Krishna and his devotees, the transcendental dham, into a transcendental illusion. Whereas Mahamaya, in this material world, who is the Chaya, puts us into a delusion that makes us forget who we are. Maya in Sanskrit, if translated into English, it's a combination of two words. Ma plus ya. Ma means not. Nahi. Ya means this. What is not is considered Maya. What is not is illusion. So if I consider that I am Indian, this is an illusion. I consider I am a Gujarati, that's an illusion. I consider that I am the owner of such and such a company, that is an illusion. That is Maya. Because as far as the real person is the soul, and because the soul is identifying with this body, that is the job of Maya. Just like a bottle of liquor or some heavy drug or chemicals, if they're injected in a person or drunk by a person, that person starts hallucinating or starts talking nonsense. Like if you have seen maybe in the movies or maybe personally, somebody who's too drunk, you tell them, "Arey Baba, take a taxi or I'll drive you home." "Arey nah, give me a plane, Baba, I'll fly a plane. You don't know me." So starting nonsense. He feels like he is the prime minister or president of a country due to the influence. Like, when you get caught, somebody's driving and they, because of liquor or some kind of they say DUI, driving under the influence. So we are all under the influence of Maya in the material world. And that is why we are thinking that we are this body, which we are not. Whereas the illusion that Yoga Maya creates in the transcendental realm, in the Vaikunthas, especially in Golok Vrindavan, is that illusion to make everybody, especially in Golok, please pay attention here, please. In Golok, they make them forget that Krishna is the Supreme Lord. Yes, I repeat that. In Vaikuntha Maya, Yoga Maya doesn't have much of a job. Everybody knows that Lord Ramachandra, Narayana, all the different Vishnus, Narsingadev, Vaman, all those, they are all Supreme Lords. But in Golok especially, Yoga Maya has to work day and night, 24/7. She is so busy, she doesn't have any time. Constantly she is arranging different ways of enhancing Krishna's Leelas, whether it is in the Sakhya Ras, Vatsalya Ras or Madhurya Ras. And these are very deep topics, maybe some other day, but I wanted to give you all the concept. Like, I'll give you a very simple example. When Krishna was about 3 years old or 2.5 years old, when he started walking, and in Gokul, if you all have been from Mahavan, where Vasudevji brought Krishna in Gokul, not too far is Brahmand Ghat, where Krishna ate mud. So in that Leela, Krishna eats mud. And then the boys, the coward boys and Balram, they go and complain to Mother Yashoda. Krishna ne mitti khai, Krishna ne mitti khai, Krishna ate mud, Krishna ate mud, Maya Krishna ate mud. So Ma Yashoda immediately goes out of pure love that my child will become sick. The GI system will be disrupted. I must immediately stop it. And when she goes there, she asks Krishna, open your mouth. And Krishna says, mm-mm. And she understands that my son has eaten. Open your mouth, Krishna. And then finally, Krishna, when he opens his mouth, what does Mother Yashoda see? She sees the entire creation. She sees Golok Vrindavan. She sees the different Mathura, Vaikuntha Dhams. She sees the different avatars. Haribol. She sees the different Vishnus. Hare Krishna. She sees the material worlds, the different Brahmans. She sees Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, the different demigods, the Devi Devatas. She sees all the different planets. And immediately she is like, oh, what am I seeing in my child's mouth? And she is as if she is hitting her head. Oh, look at Vishnu's Maya. Vishnu's Maya is so strong that I'm seeing things in the daytime in my child's mouth. And Krishna immediately chastises Yoga Maya. What are you doing? Mera bhanda fodegi kya that I am the Supreme Lord? You're going to expose me that I'm the Supreme Lord and spoil my relationship with my mama, with my mummy. And immediately Yogamaya retracts that scene from the mouth, and he exactly becomes like an ordinary child, simply showing all the different mud smeared all over his mouth and inside on his tongue, and he simply laughs. Yogamaya's job is to make especially those pure devotees who are in rasa, they make them forget Krishna is the Supreme Lord. Not forget Krishna, but Krishna is Bhagwan. Tadiyeshi dagneshur bhaktair jitvatvam puna premastat shattavruti vande. Krishna himself tells Satyavrat Muni that those who have knowledge, especially to those devotees, look at the example of my devotees in Vraj, the devotees in Gokul. Look at them. Let them be the perfect example to you folks. Who? Tad Ishit Agneshu, those who understand. Agneshu means knowledge. That I am the Supreme Lord. Look at these. They don't care that I am the Supreme Lord or not. My mother, Yashoda, if I've broken the pots, I've stolen makan, she's going to take the stick, chastise me, and she's going to tie me to the grinding mortar. And I fear her. Muhusasha kampat rire khank kanta stita graiva damodara bhakti baddam. When Mother Yashoda comes with the stick, Muhusasha, his breath, he's shivering, he's taking fast, deep breath. Maya. Muhusasha kampa, he's shivering out of fear. Tire khank kanta. Satanka netram, he's got fear in his eyes. This is the Supreme Personality of Godhead who has become Bhakta Vashya. And that is the realm of Golok. Yes, it's nice to worship Lord Ramachandra. It's nice to worship Narayana. But can you, until and unless we understand the other further nuances of this speciality, especially of Nandanandan, Yashoda Nandan, we will never be able to even desire to be there. That is why, generally speaking, everybody says Sab Bhagwan Ek Hai, including Devi Devta. This is what is being taught to us from childhood. Because they do not understand the people, whether it is our parents or our elders or whoever teach us. They don't have answers because they've never heard from the right source. We are very fortunate that by the mercy of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, we can share this with you for hours on an end. Because our goal is to understand pure bhakti. Our goal is to understand a fraction of who the Supreme Personality of God is, Sri Krishna Nandan Yashoda Nandan is. Of course, it is impossible to understand him fully. But even if we get a small fraction understanding, that will make our life successful and blissful, and it will change the dimension of theism. That's by the mercy of Balram. Yogamaya is put to work. Krishna says, you need to transfer my dear Balram, my Dau, into Gokul. Because if Kans comes, of course he cannot kill Dau. But I need him in Gokul to enhance my pastimes. I will be sharing more secrets very soon. So he was by force, Karshanam, attracted to the second wife of Vasudev, who was under the protection of Nanda Maharaj, while Vasudev and Devaki were in jail, Rohini Mata. And because of that forceful attraction of the Garbha, from Devaki's Garbha to Rohini's Garbha, from the womb of Devaki to Rohini Mata's womb, he is also known as Sankarshan. And it appears that Devaki Mata had a miscarriage. Now we come to the time where the birth of Lord Krishna. In the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says, Srila Prabhupada is very nicely, beautifully put in the Krishna book and in Srimad Bhagavatam, the 3rd chapter, the appearance of Lord Krishna. Very, very simple words. I encourage all of you all to read it. In the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says that his appearance, birth, and activities are all transcendental. Janma karma cheme divyam. Jo vetti tatvaha punarjanma neti ma metu suvarjuna. My activities, my appearance is divya, it's transcendental. And one who simply understands that will never be reborn in this material world. One who will be immediately eligible to be transferred into the spiritual world. The Lord's appearance of birth is not like that of an ordinary man who is forced to accept a material body according to his past deeds. The Lord's appearance is explained in the Srimad Bhagavatam 2nd chapter and the 3rd chapter. He appears out of his own sweet pleasure. He is Atmaram. He is Swarat, fully independent. When the time was mature for the appearance of the Lord, the constellations became very auspicious. The Rohini Nakshatra, the astrological influence of all the stars, known as the Rohini Nakshatra, this star is considered to be very auspicious, very Mangalmay, and under the direct supervision of Krishna. All the different stars, they all confluence in such a way to make it the most auspicious time. And at the time of Krishna's birth, the planetary systems automatically adjusted so that everything would become auspicious. At that time, in all the directions, east, west, north, south, everywhere, there was an atmosphere of peace and prosperity. There were auspicious stars visible in the sky and on the surface of the earth, in all towns and villages and pasturing grounds, and within the minds of everyone, there were signs of good fortune. Everybody was feeling it in their hearts. The rivers were flowing full of waters, and lakes were beautifully decorated with lotus flowers. The forests were full with beautiful birds and peacocks. Shyam! Shyam! Even the peacocks in Braj, they say, Shyam! 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 All the birds in the forest, they were so happy. They were singing sweet, with sweet voices. And the peacocks, they began to dance along with their consorts, with their peahens. The wind blew very, very pleasantly in Braj, carrying the aroma of different flowers. And the sensation of bodily touch was very, very pleasing. At home, the Brahmins, who are accustomed to offering sacrifices, yajna, they found their homes to be very pleasant, although there were so many disturbances caused by Kansa's demoniac soldiers. But now they could find the opportunity to start the fire peacefully, because they were forbidden by Kansa's government to do any yajna or anything, because Kansa was inimical to all sadhus. Vishnu to Krishna. Vasudeva Paramakha. So when the sadhus offered, they did their oblations and the fire sacrifices. That was for the pleasure of Vasudeva. And Vasudeva or Vishnu or Narayana is an enemy of Kansa. So he had stopped all that. Like Aurangzeb, he had done the same thing. All the Mughal, most of them except Akbar, he was the most tolerant. So the denizens or the Gandharvas, the Kinnaras from the different heavenly planets began to sing. The demigods from the Siddha Lokas, the Charan Lokas, they started offering prayers to the Supreme Lord along with their wives. The great sages and the Devi Devtas, the demigods, being pleased, began to shower flowers from the sky. And like that, there was such a wonderful atmosphere. When things were adjusted like this, Lord Vishnu, who is residing within the heart as Paramatma of every living entity, appeared in the darkness of night as the Supreme Personality of Godhead before Devaki, who appeared as one of the demigoddesses. She looked such effulgent. Devaki was looking very, very pretty, very beautiful because of that effulgence. The appearance of Lord Bhagavatam says that the appearance at that time of Lord Vishnu in the Karagra or the jail of Kansa, it was just like the rising of a full moon over the eastern horizon. Somebody may object that since Lord Krishna appeared on the 8th day of the waning moon, more towards the Amavasya, therefore, how is it possible that it appeared like a full moon on the eastern horizon? So our Rasikacharyas very nicely explained that Lord Krishna appeared in the dynasty of the Yadus, Chandravanshis. And because of the Lord's appearance in that dynasty, the moon, who himself, Chandradev, was also very overjoyous. Like Lord Ramachandra appeared in the Sun dynasty, Suryavanshi. Krishna is Chandravanshi. So the moon being so overjoyous with that condition, by the grace of Krishna, he could appear just like a full moon. In an astronomical treatise, Prabhupada mentions there's a book called the Kamanikya. The constellations at the time of the appearance of Lord Krishna are very nicely described. It is confirmed that the child born at that auspicious moment was the Supreme Brahman, Parabrahman Sri Krishna, Satyam Param Dhimahi, the absolute truth. Bolo Sri Krishna Bhagavan ki jai. Vasudeva saw the wonderful child born as a baby. But what did he see? This baby had 4 arms, Chaturbhuj, holding what? The Shankha, Conch, Gada, the club, Chakra, the disc, and Padma, the lotus flower, decorated with the mark of Srivatsa, wearing the jeweled necklace of Kaustuba stone, and wearing a helmet bedecked with the Viduramani, very, very valuable jewel, the Vaidurya. Beautiful, valuable bracelets, earrings, and so many wonderful ornaments all over his body, and beautified by the abundance of hair on his head. Snigdha, his kesh, very soft. Due to the extraordinary features of this child, Vasudeva was struck with wonder. How could a newly born child be so decorated? He could therefore understand that Lord Krishna had now appeared. Bolo Sri Krishna Janam ki Jai. Vasudeva Devaki ke Anand ki Jai. Vasudeva very humbly wondered that although he was ordinary person, a conditioned entity, of course he is very humble and he takes the position of a very normal human being, and he was also prisoned by Kansa. The all-pervading Vishnu, the personality of Godhead Vishnu or Krishna, had appeared as a child in the jail cell, exactly in his original position. So this four-arm form is the form that appeared as Vasudeva Krishna. Vasudeva Krishna is, our Gaudiya Acharyas explained that he is an expansion of Lord Balram. And I will go into a little bit of detail a little bit later on the differences between Vasudeva Krishna and Nandanandan Krishna. Because most of us know as it's the same Krishna, right? But no, it's not so. Vasudeva Krishna is the Chaturbhuji. He is the expansion of Balram. The first expansion, Balram expands into Chaturvyu, Vasudeva, Pradyumna, Aniruddha and Sankarshan. And that Vasudeva that appeared in the jail of Kansa to Vasudeva and Devaki is Vasudeva Krishna in his Chaturbhuja, who is non-different from Dwarkadish. If anybody has taken darshan of Dwarkadish, he has four arms. He is Chaturbhuj. In Mathura, there is a very nice temple of Dwarkadish. Dwarkadish Mandir. Very beautiful deities. Actually, those deities were actually established by Krishna's grandson, Sri Vajrana, very old. And even if you go to Srinathji, where Nandanandan, Yashodanandan, Gopalji, Srinathji, were known as Srinathji, not too far from there, there is a place called Karoli. And there is also another place not too far, Kakroli, sorry, not Karoli, Kakroli. My mistake, I corrected. In Kakroli, there is a very, very old temple of Dwarkadish also. And there also he is Chaturbhuji. So it is the same form that appeared to Vasudeva and Devaki. That's what I'm trying to tell you. In the jail, in his original form. Over and again, Vasudeva glanced at his child, and he was thinking, feeling so sad also, that how can I celebrate this auspicious moment? Generally, when a child is born, people observe this occasion with such jubilant celebration. And in my home, in this jail, how can I do that? I'm imprisoned. The Supreme Personality of Godhead has taken Janam. He has appeared in my home, in this jail. And I am so helpless that I can't even celebrate his birthday. When Vasudeva was looking at his newborn baby, he was so happy as well. Double feeling was there. that he wanted to give many thousands and thousands of cows in charity to the Brahmins. And according to the Vedic system, whenever there is an auspicious ceremony in a Kshatriya king's palace, out of joy, the king gives many things in charity. Sometimes when even the what do you call in English, the daima, the forget the name, the person who helps deliver a baby. There's a particular name, I forgot in English what it is called. When they came and gave the kings, even ordinary kings, news that, oh, king, a son is born, immediately the king would take out the most expensive garland with the necklaces with emeralds and diamonds and give it as a gift. So similarly, Vasudeva felt that way. And he, with his mind, started giving all this in charity. And when Vasudeva was convinced that the newborn child was the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself, him and Devaki, they bowed down with folded hands and began to offer him prayers. So Vasudeva and Devaki know that their son is the Supreme Lord Sri Bhagwan. At that time, Vasudeva was in a very transcendental position, and he became completely free from all fear of comes. Supreme Lord was standing right in front. The newborn baby was also flashing with a lot of effulgence. Vasudeva then began to offer a lot of beautiful prayers. My dear Lord, I can understand who you are. You're the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the super soul of all living entities, the Paramatma, and Satyam Param Dhimai, the absolute truth. You have appeared in your own eternal form, which is directly perceived by us. I understand, because I am afraid of Kamsa. You have appeared just to deliver me from the fear. You do not belong to this material world. You are the same person who brings about this cosmic manifestation simply by glancing over material nature. Vasudeva has that information that the expansion of Mula Shankarshan and then Mahasankarshan, his expansion, is Mahavishnu or Karunadaksai Vishnu. And at the time of the material creation, Mahavishnu glances at Prakriti, at the Mahatattva, and agitates it and injects all the jivas in it and injects material time. And then they are injected into the Brahmans of this material world. So Vasudeva is aware of that your plenary portions, your anshas as Vishnu, create this material world. One may make this logical argument that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who creates the whole cosmic manifestation simply by his glance, cannot come into the womb of Devaki, the wife of Vasudeva. So to eradicate this argument, Vasudeva said, my dear Lord, is it not a very wonderful thing that you have appeared within the womb of Devaki? Because the creation was also made in that way. Here he is simply remembering that pastime of Mahavishnu glancing at Prakriti and impregnating Prakriti, making Prakriti pregnant with the jivas by the simple glance. So similarly, he says, it's not impossible for you to come into the womb of Devaki like that. Angani yasya sakalen indriya vritti manti pashyanti panti kalayanti chiram chaganti. Any part of Krishna's body can act as any part. His eyes can do the work of a mouth. His nose can do the work of eyes. Angani yasya sakalen. His ears can do the work of eyes. Sometimes we wonder, oh, we are putting the full nice bhoga in front of Krishna, and then when we take up the plate, everything is still in there. But if it is offered with love, Krishna is very kind. With his eyes he eats. He glances, he takes a small part. if it's offered with love, because he wants us to partake of his prasadam for our benefit. But there are cases also where Krishna has eaten the whole plate, like in the case of Raghunandan Thakur. One very nice devotee, contemporary of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Orissa. There's a place called Srikhanda where Krishna actually eats everything, the whole plate that a 5-year-old boy offers with love. So it is not surprising that the Immaculate Conception of Devaki is understandable in the same way. You appear to have entered, but you are simultaneously all-pervading, and therefore you are Vishnu. The word Vishnu, from Sanskrit to English, simple understanding is all-pervading. One who is present everywhere is called Vishnu. Therefore, your entrance into the womb of Devaki is understandable in the same way. You have appeared to have entered, but you are simultaneously all-pervading. You are Vishnu. One has to understand your appearance with great intelligence because the material energy is also emanating from you. Maya, Mahamaya also emanates from you. You are the original source of the material energy. You are the cause of Maya. Maya. He says this is Maya is also mine. The material world Maya, Mahamaya. You are the original source of the material energy. Just as the sun is the source of sunshine. The sunshine cannot cover the sun globe, nor can the material energy cover Krishna, because Krishna is Surya Saman. We hear from the Vedic versions that the Supreme Brahman displays his effulgence, and therefore everything becomes illuminated. So those who are meditating on the Param Brahma in the form of a Jyoti or some kind of a light, that emanation is explained here by Vasudeva, that emanation is because of the effulgence of the Supreme Lord, of the Supreme Beings, of his avatars, of his devotees, of all those liberated souls in Golok, in Vaikuntha. The entire planet becomes very effulgent, and that effulgence combined is a concentrated area known as the Brahma Jyoti. We can understand from the Brahma Samhita that the Brahma Jyoti or the Brahman effulgence emanates from the body of the Supreme Lord. And from the Brahman effulgence, all creation takes place. It is also stated in the Bhagavad Gita that the Lord is the support of the Brahman effulgence. Therefore, originally, he is the root cause of everything. Sarva Karana Karana. Ishvara Parama Krishna, Satchitananda Vigraha, Anadiradir Govinda, Sarva Karana Karanam. But persons who are less intelligent think that when the Supreme Lord comes within the material world, he accepts the material qualities. Such conclusions are not very mature. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Avajananti mama muda manusham tanu ashritam. Those fools do not understand when they think that I take birth as an ordinary human being. Avajanati, they do not know. Mam, me. Muda, they are fools. Manusha, tanum ashritam, I have taken a human body. So the Supreme Personality of Godhead is directly and indirectly everywhere. Itaratascha artheshva is here in Srimad Bhagavatam, first verse again. He's outside this material creation and he's also within the material creation. Just like a gold mine has lots of gold, and that gold is present in the form of a jewelry, in the form of a bangle. So the gold is in the bangle and the bangle is in the gold. Bangle is of gold. This is a very simple analogy. The existence of all the atoms is due to your presence. We explained that Paramatma, the nucleus, the electrons, the protons, nothing can be separated from his existence. That is why Sarvam Idam Kalo Brahma. The Mayavadis say Sarvam Idam Kalo Brahma, their interpretation is wrong. Everything is Krishna. That's what the Vaishnavas say when they translate this Sanskrit verse, Sarvam Idam Kalo Brahman. Everything is Krishna. Because everything emanates from Krishna. So, like this Vasudeva prays, and the wonderful prayers that Vasudeva offers to the Supreme Lord, and like this, he says that, oh, after offering him prayers, Vasudeva Devaki, the mother of Krishna, also offered her prayers, both the father and mother. She was frightened because of her brother's atrocities. And after offering her wonderful prayers, the Supreme Lord is requested that, oh my dear Lord, please save us from the cruel hands of Kamsa. I'm praying to you, oh Lord, to please rescue me from this fearful condition, because you are always ready to give protection to your devotees. The Bhagavad Krishna also says, Arjun, he tells Arjun, Prati Janati Kaunteya Name Bhaktya Pradashati. Please declare, O Kunti Putra, that my devotee shall never perish. So while those wonderful prayers were being offered, on hearing the prayers of Devaki, the Supreme Lord said, my dear mother, in the Yuga or the millennium of Swayambhu Manu, which was the first Manu, there are, again, that's a topic for a different day. In the Vedic cosmology, the different yugas are there, where we have the cycles of Satya, Treta, Dwapar, Kali Yuga, and in like that, Lord Brahma has his one day equals to 1,000 cycles multiplied by 24 hours of 40 million years. And then that multiplied by 360 is his 1 year. And that multiplied by 100 is almost over 3 trillion years. And those 3 trillion years are kind of divided into 71 Manvantars. So very first Manvantar was Swayambhu Manu. Manvantar means also they are known in short form, they are known as Manus. So Swayambhu Manu was the first Manu in the life of Lord Brahma. And my father, he's addressing Vasudeva now, was living as one of the Prajapatis. So in the beginning, Lord Brahma, when he created the material creations, like the different worlds and the planets, that they had to be populated. And in order to be populated, he had requested, he from his own yogic Shakti, from the mercy of Krishna, different Prajapatis appeared. And those Prajapatis, along with their wives, were supposed to enhance and procreate mankind. So these Prajapatis, as the name implies, Praja means the population, and Patis means the ones who are the source or the controllers. So Prajapati, in that time, your Vasudeva and yourself, Vasudeva was one of the Prajapatis, and his name was Prishni. And You were his wife, O Mother Devki, and your name was Prishni Garbha. Your name was, sorry, I take that back. Your, Vasudev's name was Sutapa, and your name was Prishni. So Lord Krishna is recollecting the past births of Devki and Vasudev. Vasudev, you were Sutapa, and Devki in that Manvantar, in the first Manvantar of Swayambhu Manu, you were a Prajapati by the name Sutapa, and your wife was Prishni. And at that time, when Lord Brahma was desiring to increase the population, he requested you to generate offspring, and you controlled your senses and performed severe austerities. So perhaps that is the name why it was aptly called Sutapa. Tapa means austerity, and Su means great austerity. So on the request of Lord Brahma, because he was to procreate, he sat by practicing the different yogic postures, thinking of Krishna and thinking of the Supreme Lord, by controlling the breathing exercises, the pranayama, etc. And both of you and your husband could tolerate all the influences of material laws, the rainy season, the heat, the cold. And you also executed all religious principles very, very nicely. In this way, you are able to cleanse your heart and control the influence of material laws. In executing your austerity, you used to eat only leaves that were fallen on the ground. And then with a steady mind and a controlled sex drive, you worship me, desiring some wonderful benediction from me. Both of you practiced severe austerities for 12,000 years. And during that time, your mind was always absorbed in me. When you are executing devotional service and always thinking of me, within your heart, I was very much pleased with you. O sinless mother, your heart is therefore always pure. At that time, I also appeared before you in this form just to fulfill your desire. So after the 12,000 years of tapasya, austerities, in the same form as Dwarkadish, Narayan or Krishna, he had appeared, the Supreme Lord had appeared to Sutapa and Prishni and said, I'm very pleased with your tapasya, ask me of a benediction. And instead of asking me liberation or mukti from Maya, you asked me to become your son. Amazing. So, being pleased with you, I became your son, and my name in that millennium of Swayambhu Manu was known as Prishni Garbha. So in the next other millennium also, I took birth as Upendra, and you both took birth as Kashyap. Vasudev took birth as Kashyap Muni, and Devki took birth as Aditi. And from you was born Upendra, or also most commonly, a very another famous name of Upendra is Vamandev. I appeared, and because I was so pleased with you that I wanted to appear at least 3 times in your womb, O Mother Devki. So, in the third birth, he reminds, this is it, right in front of you. That same Sutapa, became Kashyap, and that same Kashyap Muni became Vasudev. That same Prishni became Aditi, and this Aditi in this yuga became Devki. You asked me for one birth, I appeared in your womb for 3 times. This is how merciful the Lord is to his devotees. And he says, this time, this will be your last birth on this earthly planet. You will eternally go back to the spiritual world after this birth is over, and you will be liberated very soon by Krishna. So therefore, I order you to take me to Gokul. And Yashoda has given birth to a daughter, and you can bring that daughter back to Mathura. So having spoken to his father and mother, the Lord turned himself at the request of them. Vasudeva and Devaki requested that please, if Kans sees you in this 4-armed Vishnu form, he will attack you. And the motherly love and the fatherly love overpowered everything else and said that please become an ordinary child. Otherwise, he will attack you and he will hurt you. That Vatsalya Ras was overflowing in the hearts of Vasudeva and Devaki. Krishna being so kind and Bhakta Vatsal and Bhakta Vashya, controlled by the love of his devotee, he appears by becoming an ordinary child with a 2-handed form. And being ordered by him, Vasudeva prepared to take his son from the jail, and exactly at that time a daughter was born to Nanda and Yashoda. And she was Yogamaya. Now, here I must share some secrets. It was just not that a daughter was born to Yashoda. Rupa Goswami, Sanatan Goswami in the Brihad Bhagavad Amrita Vishwanath Chakradipad in the Harivamsha commentary that he wrote, and there are indications even in Srimad Bhagavatam that actually Yashoda gave birth to twins, to 2. One to Krishna, Yashoda Nandan, and one to Yogamaya, the girl. But because of Yogamaya's influence, Mother Yashoda, being in the pain of her pregnancy and her delivery, Prasuti, she did not realize that she gave birth to 2. By Yogamaya's influence, when Vasudeva was instructed by Dwarkadish Krishna or Mathuresh Krishna or the 4-armed Krishna, the shackles of Kamsa that the soldiers had put on the hands of Vasudeva by Yogamaya's influence, they were open. The iron chains got dismantled. The doorkeepers went to sleep, and they were all in a very, very deep sleep. And all the doors of the jails opened automatically, and the palace doors opened, although they were all shackled and locked, just like if somebody locks their door at home when they go to sleep, and then they automatically become unlocked. The night was very dark. But as soon as Vasudeva took Krishna on his lap and went out, he could see everything just as in the sunlight. Vasudeva takes one soup, the husking tray that husks the rice, separates the paddy that was there, and puts him on his head. And as soon as he came out, it explained that it was so effulgent. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is said that Krishna is just like sunlight. Krishna Surya Saman. And that wherever there is Krishna, the illusory energy Maya has no adhikar. Jaha hoite Surya nahi Maya adhikar. When Vasudeva was carrying Krishna, the darkness of the night disappeared. All the prison doors automatically opened, and at the same time there was thunder in the sky, severe rainfall, Shravan, right? The month of Shravan. And while Vasudeva ji was carrying his son Krishna in the falling rain, what happens? The best friend, servant, lover, etc. of Krishna appears in the form of a huge serpent, that is Lord Balaram himself, his expansion. And he spreads himself like an umbrella so that father and brother should not get so wet and not fall sick. Lord Adanta says he appeared and protected with his hood Vasudeva. And then, following Vasudeva, Ananta says, they all moved towards the Jamuna. The Jamuna was roaring in waves, and that the whole span was full of foam. Still in that furious feature, the river gave passage to Vasudeva. Our acharyas explained that Yamunaji was so ullasit. She was so excited to see her paramour Krishna. Yamunaji is one of the patranis of Krishna. And she wanted to touch the lotus feet of Krishna that was hanging out of that basket or that soup. She wanted to touch the lotus feet of her Swami. But in doing so, she realized that to reach that high, she may give discomfort to Vasudeva, her father-in-law. So she controlled herself. This is rasa. Only pure realized souls can explain the Bhagavatam and these leelas in this light. She gave bath, just like Moses, the ocean opened up. The ullasit Jamuna, the enthusiastic Jamuna and the excited Jamuna opened up, and Vasudeva ji walked across, giving a path, just like how Lord Ramachandra was able to cross on that bridge made of stones to Lanka on the other side. And he came to Gokul. He went to the place of Nanda Maharaj. So in Gokul, if you have taken darshan, Jamuna is still there, very nice. And there is Nanda Bhavan. And right at the bottom of Nanda Bhavan is the sitting place of Sri Vallabhacharya Pad, known as the Baitak. And that Jamuna ji, that is also known as the Yashoda Ghat, where actually Vasudeva came across from Mathura to Gokul. When he came to Gokul, everybody was asleep, deep asleep. under the influence of Yogamaya. All the cowherd men were fast asleep. The cows were asleep, and he took that opportunity to silently enter the house of Yashodamai, Nanda Bhavan, and without difficulty, he exchanged his son for the baby girl that he could see. Now, by the influence of Yogamaya, she created a special illusion where Vasudevji could not see Nandanandan. He could not see Yashodanandan, that was also, he could only see the baby girl. So he picked up the baby girl as instructed by the four-armed Krishna in the jail before he became two-armed. Then after entering the house very silently and exchanging the boy for the girl, he returned to the prison of Kamsa and silently put the girl on the lap of Devaki. He again clamped his shackles on himself so that Kamsa could not recognize that so many wonderful things had happened. Mother Yashoda understood that a child had been born to her. But because she was tired of her labor, of her childbirth, she fell fast asleep. When she awoke, she could not remember whether she had given birth to a male or a female child. Like this, so the question can appear that what happened if Vasudeva Krishna was left there in exchange of the baby girl, and Nandanandan or Yashodanandan also appeared, then Mother Yashoda should have two Krishnas. But our Acharyas, Rasik Acharyas have explained, as soon as Vasudevji left, Vasudeva Krishna, the son of Vasudeva who appeared in the jail of Mathura, he merges into Nandanandan. He merges into Nandanandan. And that is how the appearance of Lord Krishna. Everybody is so happy. Next day, Nanda Baba, the Vrajvasis, the Gopis, the Gopas, everybody is having a great time. Nanda Utsav, which is tomorrow. So we will describe that tomorrow. But Krishna has already appeared. Nandan has appeared along with Vasudeva Krishna. So let us celebrate this by singing Nanda Griheya Nanda Bhayo Jai Kanaiya Lal Ki. Nanda Griheya Nanda Bhayo Jai Kanaiya Lal Ki. Hathi Ghoda Pal Ki Jai Kanaiya Lal Ki. Hathi Ghoda Pal Ki Jai Kanaiya Lal Ki. Nand Griheya Nanda Bhayo Jai Kanaiya Lal Ki. Nand Griheya Nanda Bhayo Jai Kanaiya Lal Ki. Hathi Ghoda Pal Ki Jai Kanaiya Lal Ki. Hathi Ghoda Pal Ki Jai Kanaiya Pal Ki. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Nanda Griheya Nanda Bhayo Jai Kanaiya Lal Ki. Hathi Ghoda Pal Ki Jai Kanaiya Lal Ki. Tomorrow we will celebrate Nandutsav, and also it is a very, very important day, very divine day, very auspicious day. It is also the appearance day Vyas Puja or birthday of Srila Prabhupada. So Prabhupada appeared on this most auspicious occasion of Nandotsav. So tomorrow I will continue this Katha of Nandotsav, and especially His Divine Guru Srila Prabhupada, uh, his wonderful uh, appearance and the predictions, etc. And how much can we eulogize something that is gigantic, but we will make our humble attempt. And also, I will explain the meaning precisely of Nanda Grihe Ananda Bhayo. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Happy Janmashtami to all of you. Happy Janmashtami to all of you. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.